Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video actually. This one is all about ways to help children when they are dysregulated. A few years ago when we adopted our littlest, you have to do an adoption course, and they introduced us to something called therapeutic parenting, which is a way that you would help to parent children who have been through trauma, because trauma affects the brain, and so their brains are slightly different. Our current youngest then, who's now our middle child, he was he 3? Yes, he was 3 at the time, and I suspected that he had autism at that point, but no other kind of teachers had thought that. But since he's now on the assessment road, and we then used some of the tools that we learned with him, and they also really seem to work for his autistic brain. And some of the most important things we've learned, I've done courses since, is about how to help children when they're dysregulated. Interestingly, doing lots of research into autism and things like that, I also see traits of that in me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm necessarily autistic. I might be, I might not be, but you know, I think we all have certain traits of it. And sometimes when I'm dysregulated, I also use some tips and tricks that I've learned too. So I thought I'd share them today, that I hope they'll help your children, and they might even help you. So when my children are starting to get dysregulated, generally, because I know them so well, I can tell when that is. Sometimes they might get a little bit flustered, or I can see it on their face. Sometimes they might cover their ears because trying to block out the noise and surrounding them. Sometimes they might try to get my attention and go mum, mum, mum. Or sometimes I can just see that they're about to have, for want of a better word, a meltdown. And I can see that it's, you know, coming to that they're feeling angry or cross or frustrated. So I try to get them to do one of these things, and I've got a little list that I've put on my fridge so that they can go and read it, and it says things that help me when I feel wobbly. So number 1 is chewing gum. Now, my 5-year-old isn't allowed gum, but my 9-year-old is. So I have a pack of gum in every week, and just really helps him. I find that this mostly helps when we're doing schoolwork at home, because I homeschool, if you didn't know that. Sometimes if he doesn't get the answer straight away, particularly in maths or something, he gets really cross. And so I said, right, let's just calm down, let's get some gum. And that seems to help him to focus on the chewing rather than the work, and then we can have a look at the work again. Secondly, an audio book or music. So we have headphones, and often they will put the headphones on and listen to an audio book, and it's just a way that they can kind of zone out. They can do other things, you know, like play with toys, whatever, or do drawing or something like that. But they've also got this audio book in. It kind of shuts out the world. It's something else for them to get lost in. And it's a nicer thing to do sometimes than TV. I find that TV does work quite well for regulating them. But sometimes I don't really want them watching TV, and I don't want them to use it as an excuse to get to watch extra TV. But an audiobook they don't really see on the same level. Also, sometimes I put on some music, so I'll just get on our speakers like a really good song. My current favourite is the Bluey Dance Remix. It's amazing. And we'll put that on, we'll have a dance round, and that kind of gets their energy out, gets their frustration out, and it really helps me too. Thirdly, we do the wheelbarrow. I'm going to put a picture here in case you do not know what that is, but I'm sure everyone did this in primary school. And I had this is the most recent one that I've discovered, because I'm always on the lookout for new ways to regulate. And apparently this, like particularly if they want to hit, it gives them that force that they kind of need on their hands. So although they're like hitting the floor like that, aren't they, when they're moving along, and that helps them to get the force out of their hands, that their energy they want to expel from that without hitting. Fourth, punching a pillow. When they're really cross, thankfully they're little enough that I can hold a pillow and they can punch it. And sometimes I'll go harder, harder, and then they end up laughing, and it's just again that way of getting that frustration out. We have bought 2 punch bags in our time, one inflatable one that got burst, and one like one on a stand, and within about 2 weeks it got bent so that instead of going like this, it was leaning like this. Still usable, but not ideal. And then last week someone stood on the base too many times and it split and all the water came out, so I just use a pillow instead. The next one is sucking through a straw. Now I learnt this last year, in fact 2022 now. I did a brilliant course with the council about what is it actually called? Can't remember what it's called, but it's all about therapeutic parenting. It was brilliant and just a great reminder, and it added some things that I had didn't know. And so they said sucking is really good. So you want to get like a cup with a straw in it, or like my little one, she's 5 but she still has bottles. That sucking action really helps to regulate, apparently. The next one is throwing a ball at the floor. Now we've got like a ball, it's like a bit of like a plastic rubbery type ball, and it's slightly flat, so if part of the air's gone out of it, so actually like if you throw it, it doesn't really bounce, it just goes dun. And so that's really handy. Again, it's just using that energy, getting that energy out, using that throwing energy that they want to get out, and throwing that ball at the floor. The next one, also with a ball, is squeezing the ball. So again, this ball that we've got is particularly good. I just picked it up in Tesco. It's like it's like this kind of big. It's red, it's got a picture of a dragon on it. But it's just really good, so they can also squeeze it. So they can hold it in their hand, because it's got a little bit of the air out. You can kind of squeeze it a bit, and that's just really good. Just another way to get that energy out. The next one is another one that I was actually reminded of the other day, and we've been doing this at bedtime, and it's about swinging or rocking. So sometimes, particularly at bedtime, we get lots of energy and we get a little bit dysregulated. Sometimes it's like a transition from downstairs to upstairs, and from one place to another. And so we get a blanket, and it's better with 2 of us because it's just easier, as I'll explain. But I have also done it on my own. So we get them to lie down on the blanket, just one at a time, and we just get 2 corners each, and then swing. And our youngest particularly absolutely loves that. And then we end up swinging her and laying the blanket in the bed, and then she's ready for bed. She really loves that, and she asks for that. She's like, I'm feeling wobbly, I need to be swung. Also, but the one that I do more on my own, because it's a bit easier, is sausage roll. So again, she lies on a blanket, she is the sausage, and the blanket is the pastry, and I wrap her up, and then I pretend to eat her. And then first, hang on, I wrap her up, and then I pick up the sausage roll and might spin it round a couple of times, and then might put her on the bed, and then we'll chop her up, and then we'll eat her. And that's also really, she just loves that. It's kind of that just time focused on them, for them sensorially. It's a good feeling being really tight in a blanket. And finally, my favourite one, having a cuddle. Sometimes just sitting down next to a child, having a cuddle, maybe watching TV, is actually just lovely. They just want that closeness sometimes and that attachment to you. I am really guilty of being, particularly when they're watching TV, using that as my time to get things done. And it is, there are obviously jobs that you need to do, but actually I found sometimes if I just stop and think I'm just going to go and sit with them and rest and be still with them, have a cuddle, get a bottle or whatever they kind of need at the time, and use that really works really well. And it's just about building connections, and I think the more you can build connections, the more safe they feel and the more regulated they feel. These things have worked really well for my children and for me sometimes too. As I said, it's really lovely for me to know that when they're, getting to that place of feeling dysregulated, that I have got things in place that we can do to help them. And 9 times out of 10, one of these will work. So it's really helpful for me, but it's also great for teaching them that they will feel wobbly at different times throughout their entire life. And that's fine and that's normal. And here are some ways that you can deal with it. So I hope that was useful, helpful for some of you. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.